Thanks for having me on, first of all. So the subject of my talk today is about advanced device connectivity and tooling for EdgeX users in particular. So quick bit about me, if anyone doesn't know me. So James Wood, I work at IOTech as a product manager of our EdgeX product. And before that, I've worked as a solutions architect. So for a total of about 2.5 years, I've worked with using EdgeX. So I've hopefully got some good experience in that regard. And my other job, I guess, is I'm current QA test chair of EdgeX Foundry. So our remit is to design and implement the test strategy and verify that the performance of EdgeX is as good as it should be. And there's my email contact. The agenda of what I wanted to talk about today is I'm going to do a quick overview of IOTech and how we use EdgeX. And then I'm going to move on to talking about the advanced OT device connectivity that we provide. So that includes quite a large list of industrial grade device services, and we often call them connectors. That's sometimes a better understood term, I think. And what we do is we do two things. We enhance the open source versions. So for example, Modbus is enhanced by having extra performance features. And in some cases, we create brand new device services, and I'll talk about those as well. And it should be an interesting point, hopefully, in that what we're going to do is make these OT device connectors available to EdgeX users. So you don't necessarily need to consume the full platform of our products, but you can buy the device service connectors on an individual basis, if you like. So we have an online marketplace coming. And I've put that in purple because it's kind of, I guess, an EdgeX topic. And then I'm going to move on to the device configuration tooling. So what is that? How does it help? And also talk about how we're going to deliver that as a software as a service, to make it really easy to consume. And some more good news is this is going to be free for EdgeX users. And also it will play, I think, a significant role in the EdgeX endorsement program. And I'll talk about that. And I've also got a hopefully good demo for you. So it's just a 1 minute about IOTech. So we are an edge software products company, headquartered in the UK, but offices in USA, a big engineering base in Taiwan, which Cloud and the team head up, and also sales offices in France, Ireland, and Singapore. And we've been involved in EdgeX since the very start. We hold a number of leadership positions on the TSC here. Obviously, Jim is very prominent. Ian runs the device services group, and as I said, I do the testing QA. So EdgeX, as I mentioned, is the product that I manage here at IOTech, and that is basically a commercial and value-add implementation of the EdgeX Foundry. So we've got a number of key customer deployments and interesting use cases, including utilities, flow monitoring, manufacturing, automation, and also retail use cases. And I'll talk about EdgeX in a bit. Something else to touch upon is we've implemented a complementary real-time variant of the EdgeX Foundry that we call EdgeX RT. As I said, it's complementary, but it addresses a set of use cases, particularly time-critical and resource-constrained use cases that the EdgeX Foundry doesn't support. So it adds, like I said, real-timeliness to the EdgeX ecosystem. And then finally, a lot of our customers and users have been deploying, EdgeX-based systems, but I think we've noted that there hasn't been a comparable vendor-neutral, open source-based edge management tool available. So we've actually been able to write our own, and this will be able to manage devices and applications at scale. And it can deploy EdgeX software stacks. It can deploy EdgeXpert. It can deploy EdgeX RT. In fact, anything. So it should be quite an interesting product, I think, and we can speak more about that in due course, but that's outside the scope of today. So EdgeXpert, what we try and do is we add value to EdgeX Foundry, and really the aim is to get EdgeX-based solutions to market quicker and with less business risk. So one thing we provide, obviously, is commercial support for that. So we offer service level agreements whereby we will fix bugs in a quick manner. So obviously the EdgeX Foundry we'll look to fix bugs as quickly as we can, but a commercial company like ourselves can be a bit more, we can offer more guarantees, let's say, for that. Technical support contracts, online training courses, that sort of thing. But also we add, ease of use. We provide Edge Expert as a product where people subscribe to updates. We provide, easy use in terms of tooling and visualization, and I'll talk about that shortly. That's why it's in blue there. Connectivity and control is a strong point. So I said the industrial grade connectors, both southbound and northbound. Extra analytics options, things like that. The time critical support, extra security, all that sort of stuff. Particularly focusing on the device connectivity. As I said, we've built up quite a long list of OT device connectivity features. So quite a good list there. And as you know, we've got tooling that helps you onboard and connect those devices, and I'll talk about that in a second. So just to pick out a couple. So for example, in building automation use cases, Modbus and BACnet are quite prevalent. So there are open source versions of those services, but what we do for Modbus is we add a few extra features. So multi-read, multi-write support for extra performance benefits, additional addressing mechanisms, so we can address a wider range of Modbus devices, and also data translation and parsing features where you can do translations before the data is even consumed. Similar story with BACnet. We add multi-read, multi-write support, automatic discovery features, and extra typing that can make the service more usable. Here's a couple of screenshots of some devices we use both in our lab and with customers. So we've built up a wide range of capability. Also in building automation, but also retail and other use cases is wireless connectivity, particularly Bluetooth Low Energy and Zigbee. So again, there's a Bluetooth connector in EdgeX Foundry, but we've added dynamic discovery, automatic disconnects, and behavior like that to give you better up-to-date information about the state of your device. And Zigbee, there is no EdgeX version available for that, so we had to create our own there, and that's also widely used. Industrial automation manufacturing, so OPC-UA is absolutely key, particularly in Europe, we're finding in this domain. Again, there's an open source version for OPC-UA, but we add lots of features to do with usability and improvements. So automatic discovery, the ability to browse nodes, security features, and also tooling, so you can automatically map in your OPC-UA attributes. And then OPC-UA pub sub is an extension of the OPC-UA spec that our customers have been asking for. So we've implemented a brand new service that supports that. So there's some examples of OPC-UA servers we work with. And then finally on this, so a big area for us is the whole industrial automation PLC control market. So we've built up a large and expanding set of device service connectors for these markets, and there's a particular set of constraints, usually to do with determinism. So we've implemented these using the C device services SDK, and there aren't any open source version of these available right now, but there's some devices that we currently have tested with and work with. So as I said, a bit of news is that these connectors are going to be now available to work against the EdgeX Foundry. So that this is quite new, because in the past you had to consume our whole Edge Expert platform in order to do this. But now it means that, for example, people can use the EdgeX Foundry, but if they want, for example, EtherCAT support, they can come onto our online marketplace and just simply buy that connector. And I think it's going to be quite a small fee, so should be quite a good thing for the market, I think. So stay tuned for more information about that. On the tooling side of things, as I said, when I worked as a solutions architect, I was using EdgeX a lot for customer demos and so forth. And I did find it quite, in some cases, not difficult to use, but time consuming to create the device profiles. And YAML isn't the most friendly notation in terms of accepting errors and that sort of thing. So, the formatting has to be spot on. So we created a tool that can really help simplify this process. So it's a graphical tool that lets you create and edit EdgeX device profiles. It prevents typos and that sort of thing because it's all GUI based. Another thing to consider is that the users of EdgeX software aren't necessarily going to be EdgeX. They're not going to necessarily have the knowledge of how it all works internally. So I think we need to present a simpler view to those sorts of users. So that's what this tool aims to do. And I'll do a demo for this, as I said, shortly. So another update for you guys is that this device configuration tool is going to be available as a service online, and it's going to be free to use. So there's going to be an easy sign-up process. So I've taken a screenshot there. You'll probably have to, you can choose to opt in order to receive EdgeX news updates and also agree to be contacted perhaps. But the idea is that users can go on there and create and edit their own device profiles. And then we're going to have a concept of an EdgeX profile library. And the idea here is that this will be a resource where people can push their tested profiles into some place where we can have like a global repository of them. So the profiles, when pushed, are going to be marked as open source. They're going to be Apache 2 licensed. And as I said, it's going to be UI based, so to make things easy and nice to use. But also we're aware that some companies will have hundreds of devices, and even using a UI could be a bit painful in some cases. So we've got a feature where you can import en masse your notation for your files. So using CSV files, for example. And I'll talk about that more as well. So we're going to have a live web link that we're going to have posted very soon. Probably the next 4 weeks, and I'll keep you in the loop about that. And finally, before I begin the demo, is a touch upon the EdgeX endorsement program, or it might change its name as we've just said. But the idea is that, and we've been working closely with Rodney and the team about this, is that we'd like to suggest that this device configuration tool can play a significant role here. So as people want to validate their devices, we think that the tool could be helpful here. So people can go onto the tool, they can create their device profiles, they can test them, and then they can mark them as being up for endorsement. So for example, they can send a message to the endorsement team and say, look, I've created my profile, it's called this, and here it is in the tool. Please, can you go and have a look at it and then let me know. So we'll have a full process with steps defined for how that will work. But this is certainly an interesting part of the endorsement program, I think. So let me do a demo, and then I'll have time for questions at the end. So if I jump over and back, here it is. So as I said, it's an online tool. So I've already created an account myself. So I could just, if I sign in, you can see that you're presented with, there we go. If you can see, you're presented with like a main screen, and the UI might change slightly here in the next couple of weeks, but it'll look broadly like this, whereby people can model their device types, device resources, and device profiles. So device types, if I just filter, for example, on all the protocols we've got available here in the EdgeXpert version. So I think EdgeX users will see that the EdgeX users without a license for our commercial options they'll be grayed out. So, but at least 6 or 7 will be enabled. So, for example, Modbus, you can see that I've created here a chemical tank device profile. And as you know, the device types is basically the static information about the device. So it's the name of it, it's the manufacturer, any labels you apply. This is the stuff at the top of the file typically that doesn't change for each device. So there's an easy sort of editor there. One good thing here is that because have this concept of a device library, when I sign in, here I'm signed in as James, so I can see the library profiles and my own profiles. We need to be careful that users don't edit and perhaps break the existing profiles in the library. So we've got it kind of a read-write model, whereby profiles in the library, you have to clone in order to edit them. But profiles that you've got under your own account, so this chemical tank is my own, you can edit that without having to do a clone first. So on device resources, this is the kind of the attributes for your device. So again, if I filter on Modbus, keep things simple, my chemical tank I've already created here, and I've got attributes for the temperature in the chemical tank, the pressure in the chemical tank, and its level. So for example, if I click on the temperature, you get a UI or a menu based on that protocol. So this is a Modbus based device, so it's got the Modbus fields populated. If it was an EtherCAT device, it would have the EtherCAT fields that are relevant, obviously. So you can see in Modbus, you can set your holding register. I want to set it to address 1001, for example, and all these optional fields to do with scaling and minimums and maximums and so on are all available to edit. Device profiles is where you bring the device types and the device resources together to make obviously a file. So chemical tank, again, I've already got one created. I've imported the types and the resources together to make a chemical tank profile. And there's a menu for that here. What I can do is, once I've created that, I can export it, for example, as a YAML file. So obviously there it is as a normal YAML profile, but I can also export it or deploy it straight into a running instance of EdgeX or EdgeXpert. You just need to point it at the metadata service. I won't do that now. I want to do a quick example of if I wanted to add a new device resource. So for example, in my chemical tank, what we can do is add a resource. So I'll go Modbus, next, chemical tank, next. I'm going to create, there's my level, pressure, and temperature. I'm going to create a new one. Let's call it humidity. Oh, yeah, call it humidity. Description, you can set the types and so on. Let's say this is an int 16. Let's say it's a input register number 1. You can set whatever you like. Okay, and there's my humidity appeared under the resources for that chemical tank. Then what I need to do is edit the device profile. So for example, here I can edit the chemical tank profile. I can say, okay, now we need to add our humidity. So let's do that. And you can see that it doesn't leave you scope for typos because it's all drop down list based. And then I'll just, yeah, that's good. It's already got humidity in the sensor values thing. So I can just do next. I'll add another core command for it. Okay. So it's hard to get it wrong, which is good. And then if I export it again, sorry, yeah, that one. Where's it gone? Oh, I've minimized it. Oh, there it is. Yes, I should. Yeah, and my humidity is now in my profile. So hopefully you can see that it's a beneficial tool to use. Another thing you can do is import your existing profiles. So if I go to the device, device profiles, I can go import, and I can select. In fact, here it is. I got it on my desktop. Here's one I made earlier for an outlet valve, for example, in OPC UA. I click next. You can see that it brings the file in and it'll address any inconsistencies or any mistakes in the profile will be addressed here. It'll be highlighted. So I can go, okay, let's import that. And then I'm now free to edit the resources or whatever I like with on that profile. There it is. So if I'll show you the resource for that. OPCUA, that one was. Yeah. In OPCUA, you've got namespaces and node IDs, so it's grabbed those from the profile and it's made an editor for that. Okay. One more thing was to point out the CSV imports that I mentioned. So what you do is define in a comma separated file a structure like this. So it's dependent on which profile you're using. For OPCUA, for example, you've got all the fields that you like, and obviously it's easier to edit and maintain a CSV file than it is a whole load of device profiles. So you can edit in this format and then import them into the tool en masse and then generate your YAML profiles from that. It's another kind of ease of use feature. And I think that's it. Maybe I can open up for questions or comments.
Thanks, James, for doing this. You actually covered the 2 points that I wanted to see done, which was basically how do you import a fresh one, and then how you can create one sort of on the fly. So I appreciate you doing this.
That's good. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so we're looking to, as I said, roll this out next month. I'll get the exact date for you soon, and there'll be a few minor changes into the UI and maybe some of the options here. But this is the broad idea. And what we'll do, as I said, we'll define together the exact process of how people would endorse their profiles. I'll create a little tutorial for doing that. It should be an easy process. So I'm quite excited about the whole concept of a library. So over time we'll build up, and before we launch, we'll probably import all the profiles we've been using at IOTech. So there'll be a decent set of libraries, of profiles, and over time we can build it up. So we have a large EdgeX collection of working profiles for different devices.
Really good stuff, James. This tool's come a long way. From the community, I'm curious, is this the type of thing people think they could use if it's available online? Do they think this would help them even in your own development efforts and your own testing efforts for EdgeX?
I just created an account, and it's going to be the only way I create a device profile going forward. So, heck yeah.
We got that on recording, James. We'll make sure we add that
while I
to
was
our
presenting.
marketing site.
That's great.
Anybody think that there's something we may have overlooked, or maybe a better way to do some of what James and Cloud and team have done? Fantastic, good stuff. Really look forward to it, and I think this is going to be a really big help to the whatever endorsement program is called. But I think it's going to be a big help to Rodney as he lays out kind of that whole program. So good stuff.
Questions? Yeah, do folks feel comfortable? Do folks feel comfortable about what they see there, about what they can do for capabilities? Because this is sort of the tool that we're going to be running with for doing the device validation, device profile validation. So as part of the program, so they will be routed here to go through this, and this is where it will be validated and made available, and then we will come to here to see confirmation that it has been validated, and then they receive their sort of badging that their stuff is endorsed, quote unquote. So folks kind of like the way the flow works, like this tool, because this is kind of what we're running with. So think about it. Give us feedback. Let us know, because this was a chance to see it in full operation, and I'm sure we could do it again if we need to. If we need to have another preview, I'm sure we can impinge on James's generosity and have another demo.
No problem. So what I'll do I'll probably create a short video so people can be more, it can be on demand,
I mean, but sorry, it's Keith here, guys. Bear in mind as well that once this thing gets launched, if people got ideas for improvement, you can always whack those through to us. No problem.
Yeah, I do think, Rodney, once we've got the the endorsement program laid out. We've got the wiki, we've got all the pieces there. It probably is a good thing to maybe we'll have either one of the meeting times for the work groups or maybe a special meeting to kind of lay all the pieces out for people, take them through all the steps and get any feedback. And that's when we can also invite James back to kind of plug in that part to the whole program.
Right.
Good stuff.
Yeah, looks good.
Any other questions, comments, concerns for James? Thanks much as always, James. Really great job.
No worries. Thanks a
Yeah,
lot.
thanks, James.